Outcasted OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, it's Courtney here from the Outcasted OC Podcast and welcome to this Monday Night Raw recap. You know I don't like to spend too long with introductions. This was a really good episode of Monday Night Raw, so let's just jump straight into it. The Monday Night Raw this week kicks off with the Judgment Day coming out. Now we have Rhea, Dom and JD. Rhea goes ahead and welcomes everybody to Monday Night Raw and says that the Judgment Day will continue to be running Monday Night Raw and we prove it weekly. She references Damian Priest going after Cody Rhodes' ankle being just the beginning because Dominic Mysterio is going to be putting down Ricochet tonight. She mentions that JD McDonough has a match with Seth freaking Rollins tonight, who is one of the enemies of the Judgment Day, and goes ahead and then says that, you know, Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre both have decisions, but when they walk out of Crown Jewel, one of them's going to be a loser and one of them is going to be the World Heavyweight Champion. She says that she's obviously got her fatal 5-way match that's happening at Crown Jewel, and she says that it's another opportunity for her to prove who is the most dominant woman in all of WWE. We get an interruption from none other than Sami Zayn. He says he's sick of hearing Rhea Ripley talk and he's sick and tired of hearing about how Judgment Day always runs Monday Night Raw. And he says, here's something about me. I fought people like you and I have nothing but rebellion and resistance towards people like you who continue to say that they have all the power. He says that he will fight all of you, even if it's a 5-on-1 situation. And he said that he will continue to fight Judgment Day until Judgment Day is no more. Rhea Ripley responds to this by saying that it's hilarious and you can't resist because it doesn't matter how much you resist. One-on-one, you'll be going up against Damian Priest tonight. Dominic responds with, well, Mommy, why don't we just teach him a lesson right now? And then we end up seeing Ricochet coming in, starts beating down on Dominic Mysterio, and then JD tries to obviously sneak attack Ricochet, but then Ricochet ends up dodging. So we go to the commercial break, and then we come back from the commercial break, and the match between Ricochet and Dominic Mysterio is already underway. Dominic goes and throws Ricochet into the commentary table and then follows this by throwing him into the corner of the ring. There's a really nice sequence coming in here from Ricochet, which he then follows with a standing shooting star and a really nice crossbody as well too. Dominic hits the three amigos and then Rhea and JD come in to try and cause a distraction where Dominic ends up capitalizing off this. Then we see Ricochet tries to kick JD McDonough and then obviously tries to go high to get him, but then the Judgment Day end up escaping. We had a couple of video packages come in really quickly. So we had a video package for DIY showing a little bit about them and what they've done in NXT because they will be having their first match as a tag team on the main roster tonight. Then this is followed by 1 out of 5 of the video packages for the Fatal 5-Way match. So we had a video package for Raquel Rodriguez. Then we end up having a match between the Alpha Academy and the Creed brothers. Now, if you don't know who the Creed brothers are, they are from NXT. The match was pretty much set around Alpha Academy throwing out an open challenge and the Creed brothers answered the open challenge. They also got a video package as well too, which was really cool to see because I feel like a lot of people, if they don't know who is the wrestlers in the ring coming up from NXT, it's really nice to get an insight as to who these people are before they start wrestling for us. All in all, this was a really awesome match, a great way for the Creed brothers to debut, some really good sequencing, and it was a great showcase match for the Creed brothers. They pretty much put on a really good clinical match with a lot of great wrestling and good technical work. There was a moment where Maxine tried to distract the referee, and then Ivy Nile gets involved, and she ends up suplexing Akira Tozawa. The Creed brothers came away with the win on this match. I think this was an awesome way for them to debut on the main roster and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do from here on out. Video recap of Damian Priest, Cody Rhodes and the JD McDonough situation from last week where Damian Priest ended up trying to shatter Cody's ankle and then Cody coming out at the end of the main event to help out Jey Uso. We see Finn Balor and Damian Priest are chatting backstage and then the New Day come in and the New Day are actually dressed as the Judgment Day. So Xavier Woods is dressed as Rhea Ripley and Kofi is dressed as Damian Priest, which I thought was really funny. Then obviously Finn was saying that they were talking about the end of the match that just happened with Dominic, and then obviously Rhea comes in and the rest of Judgment Day, and Rhea goes ahead and says we need to focus on Judgment Day business, and you know Damian Priest is still kind of upset at the fact that Rhea's kind of arranged a match for Sami Zayn and him. Obviously he's fine by it, but they're talking about the fact that, you know, there's no leaders within Judgment Day, so why are you out here making decisions? It's kind of the same story, the same narrative we are kind of being spouted out every week, which is obviously causing a bit of demise. It's causing a little bit of confusion and apprehension within Damian Priest. So it's interesting to see where that's going to be going. Then we had the second out of the 5 of the Fatal 5-Way participant video packages. So we had one for Nia Jax as well too. She pretty much talks about how since she's come back to WWE, she's gone through every single person in the Fatal 5-Way match. So her winning the Women's World Championship is not out of the realm of possibility. Then we had the Miz TV segment, and the special guest was going to be Gunther. So Miz opens up by hyping up everybody and hyping up Gunther, and he's trying to introduce Gunther to come out for the show a couple of times. He's rudely interrupted by Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci, and Ludwig says that Gunther will not come out or do anything that the Miz tells him to do, and says that the Miz is everything that is wrong with WWE, calls him a clown, and says that Gunther and everybody just despise the Miz. Miz goes ahead and calls Giovanni Vinci a sidekick, but then Giovanni comes out and finally talks and says that you're a sidekick to your wife when she was on Total Divas. And the Miz turns this around and references the fact that they have the TV show Miz and Mrs. And he makes a big deal out of the fact that Giovanni's actually finally speaking and we finally get to hear the tone of his voice. Then we end up seeing that Ludwig goes ahead and says that, Gunther doesn't want you to speak and we only speak when we're told to, kind of thing. Gunther ends up coming out, and Gunther goes ahead and says that he is not a guest and he's got 2 things. First, it's the year 2023, so why do we still have talk shows? And secondly, the ring is a very sacred place for me and you are beneath me and I do not respect you. And the Miz turns this around and says, well, I've interviewed an invisible John Cena and, I'm one of the biggest stars that the WWE has. Gunther goes ahead and says that's the issue. When it's in the ring, no matter how good of a wrestler you are, that's not what matters. You are a great sports entertainer, but you are not a good wrestler when it comes down to it. Like, that's what I am. Because I am the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. And honestly, the Miz turned this around and just completely showed Gunther. He goes ahead and says that I can be serious when I want to be. I was serious when I beat Randy Orton, when I also beat John Cena, and when I won the WWE title for a second time a decade after I'd done it the first time. And he said that he was serious when he made the Intercontinental Championship relevant, and obviously points to the title that's on Gunther's shoulder. And he said he's got no issue doing it again. Gunther goes ahead and follows up with, saying that the Miz just does sports entertainment and that he's one of the best sports entertainers of all time, but he's got no luck when it comes to beating Gunther. Then we go ahead and see Ludwig Kaiser starts smashing pumpkins, just completely destroying the display for Miz TV. Miz goes for Gunther. Gunther ends up hitting him with a chop and says that he's not in his league. Then we see the Miz trying to fight back, but Ludwig and Giovanni end up grabbing the Miz and Gunther ends up hitting him with a big boot. So it's interesting to see this character development. It looks like the Miz is maybe going towards the babyface kind of side of things, but it's very interesting to see where this is going. This was then followed up by Miz being out the back, having a chat with Adam Pearce, talking about how he was disrespected during the Miz TV by Gunther, and requests a match with Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. Adam Pearce is like, I literally can't just give you this because I've got someone else who I'm trying to deal with business-wise for the IC title. And we see Bronson Reed walk in and he basically says he wants to catch up with Adam Pearce. After this, we had the tag team match between Imperium and DIY. Now, this was really cool to see DIY finally on the main roster together. There's some great double teaming coming in from DIY. Always good chemistry in the ring between Imperium and DIY. Ludwig was causing a lot of tag issues between DIY, so he was kind of getting involved with Tommaso Ciampa while he was standing on the ring apron waiting for Johnny to tag him in. Giovanni Vinci hits a really nice backbreaker, and then Tommaso Ciampa, when he gets tagged into this match, just goes absolutely crazy. Then we end up seeing Tommaso and Johnny hit the famous meet in the middle finisher, and they come away with the win on their first match on the main roster. I cannot wait to see where DIY goes from here. I think it's going to be great, and I feel like with Triple H holding creative down the way he is, I'm honestly very excited to see where we go. We had a promo from Shinsuke Nakamura, where he's talking about looking for his next victim and his next sacrifice, so it's really cool to see that character progression and that it's continuing. We had a video package for Candice LeRae and Xia Li before their match, so they had a match after both of them had a video package. From the start, Candice LeRae is going crazy on Xia Li, but then Xia Li ends up hitting a spin kick on Candice LeRae, knocks her out, and medics come and call the match as it is. So Xia Li comes away with the win on that. Then we had a video package backstage. We got to see Sami Zayn and Jey Uso chatting up, and Jey goes ahead and wishes Sami good luck before his match against Damian. And Jey Uso is then spoken to by Jackie Redmond, where he's asked about the Judgment Day, and Jey says that he wishes that he could get the tag titles back from the Judgment Day at some point in time. Then we had some more video packages. It was quite literally full of video packages tonight, but they all very much served a purpose. So we had the Shayna Baszler video package towards the Fatal 5-Way match at Crown Jewel. We got to see Candice LeRae backstage with medical, obviously checking up on her after her match against Xia Li. Then we had a really nice video package. It was quite a long one actually for Drew McIntyre, obviously hyping up his match with Seth freaking Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship at Crown Jewel. It goes over a lot of things within his career, and obviously it goes over his WrestleMania win in the pandemic era, obviously when no one was around. And then they start talking about Clash at the Castle, and he's talking about how he's going to turn it all around and regain his destiny. Then we had a video package coming in for Zoe Stark as well too. So that's all of the challenges that have had video packages for the Fatal 5-Way match. Seth Rollins makes his way out to the ring to cut a promo before his match against JD McDonough tonight. He starts off by saying that he's going to go through JD McDonough to get to Drew McIntyre at Crown Jewel, and says boo-hoo to Drew McIntyre because during 2020 a lot of people were suffering with real life things, and excuse me for not being somebody who thinks that you should have won the WWE World Championship in a different way than what you did. He's kind of like, times were tough, you kind of get what you get. And he says that you are continuing to blame the bloodline for everything that's happened when you shouldn't really be doing that, and says that you need to get in line with the likes of Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn because obviously they are trying to fight for the World Heavyweight Championship as well. And he said there's a reason that people sing my song because I am not the same Seth Rollins that I was. Obviously references the Messiah, represents the Architect as well too. And during Drew McIntyre's video package, it was actually really cool to see that they'd mentioned that Seth Rollins was Drew McIntyre's first defense, I believe, obviously once he'd won the title after WrestleMania, and that obviously Seth Rollins will be the last person that Drew McIntyre has to go up against to win the title. Then we see JD McDonough come in and sneak attack Seth Rollins, which starts the match between the two of them. Seth basically is just ragdolling JD and tormenting him quite a bit during this match. Seth hits a really nice back body drop onto JD. JD follows this up with a really nice corkscrew. Then we see that Seth Rollins goes ahead and launches JD over the top rope and follows this up with a really nice suicide dive. Hits a really nice sling blade and running knee combo. We see him hit a buckle bomb, and then we end up seeing Damian Priest coming out with the Money in the Bank briefcase and a ref. So they're kind of standing up against the commentary table, ready to call their shot. Seth hits a really nice superplex, follows by a stomp, and comes away with the win. Comes out of the ring and starts staring down at Damian Priest as well too. Then we see Adam Pearce is backstage and he's talking with Ricochet and offers him an opportunity for the IC title. We end up seeing Chelsea Green and Piper Niven come in, quickly annoy Adam Pearce and then kind of leave. Then we see the Viking Raiders come in and say that they want to discuss business to do with the IC title. Becky Lynch was backstage, asked by Jackie Redmond how she is doing after her loss of the NXT Women's Championship at Halloween Havoc. She goes ahead and says that, the champ doesn't stay down for long, and she puts over Lyra Valkyria, which was really nice to see. She goes ahead and says, within the 42 days that I was champion, I actually defended my title more than Roman Reigns and Rhea Ripley have done this year, which that was really funny. I like that wee little dig. Obviously, that's aiming more towards Rhea Ripley because they are rumoured to fight each other at some point in time. Xia Li interrupts and was like, well, why didn't you wrestle me during that time and you lost your championship? Like, who does that? And then she goes ahead and says that I'll fight you anytime. We can fight right now. Xia Li goes ahead and says, no, we'll do this on my own time. Becky turns around and says, like, she's been saying this for 3 weeks. Like, when is she actually going to go ahead and do this? Then we had the trick or street fight between Natalya and Chelsea Green. Natalya comes out looking like a leather bunny. I mean, are we really surprised here? Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, on the other hand, Piper Niven comes out dressed as Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and Chelsea Green is dressed as Bret Hart. Honestly, she absolutely looked stunning. Like, she killed it. This match was very quick and it was mostly just towards doing a whole lot of stuff for a street fight. So straight away, Chelsea Green goes ahead and throws a pie at Natalya, and then Chelsea ends up going through a table at some point in time. Natalya ends up making Chelsea bob for apples, and then we see Natalya go for a double sharpshooter outside of the ring with both Chelsea and Piper. Then Chelsea starts lifting up pumpkins that are on a table in front of the commentary desk, and she lifts one up and Nikki Cross's head is just sitting underneath it. She gets a bit confused, puts it back down, just, I don't know, some weird stuff's going on with Nikki Cross. I don't really care. I don't like her. I don't have an affinity towards, I just get her off my screen. Then we end up seeing Natalya getting thrown into the ring steps, and then Chelsea goes ahead and accidentally throws a pie into Piper's face, and she hits the unpretty her on Natalya but comes away with the win. Then we had the final video package for the Fatal 5-Way match. Now this was for Rhea Ripley. She says she's basically going to dominate everybody in that match and still be the Women's World Champion. Then we had the main event, and this was Damian Priest going up against Sami Zayn. Straight away, Damian Priest is going in on Sami Zayn, but Sami Zayn manages to fight back and hits a really nice moonsault off the barricade onto Damian Priest. Damian comes in with a big kick to Sami and then does a really nice launch suplex, which I haven't seen one of those in a while, so that was quite nice to see. Sami ends up returning the favour with a tornado DDT and a really nice clothesline. Then we end up seeing Dominic and Finn Balor coming in, and Damian Priest hits a really nice reckoning on Sami Zayn as well too, which was mentioned on commentary that he hasn't done that in a long time. So I really enjoyed seeing him pull some moves out of his arsenal that we haven't seen. Jey Uso comes out as backup and then ends up super kicking Damian Priest. Then we see JD McDonough going after Jey Uso and Sami Zayn. Cody Rhodes comes out to the defense and ends up brawling with Damian Priest. Then we end up seeing JD McDonough saving Damian Priest. At the end of this, because this kind of ended in a no finish when Jey Uso came out, Cody goes ahead and calls out Damian, calls him a walk behinder. Obviously, there's no leader of the Judgment Day, but says that he walks behind everybody else and says that it's always going to be Cody, and says that my path is back on track and my path goes through you to get what I want. So it's very interesting to see how this kind of all ended. Obviously, this is the Raw before Crown Jewel. We have SmackDown, but a lot of these storylines aren't going to really be affected after Raw. You know, they're not going into SmackDown kind of going towards the go-home show before Crown Jewel. Everything kind of gets tied off in a nice wee bow before we get to Crown Jewel. And with that, it brings us to the end of Monday Night Raw. If you stuck around till the very end, make sure you go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you do that anyway, because it pushes our videos out for people like you to find us and find us talking about wrestling, which is something that we really love. There is an NXT review coming this week from Reese, and we'll be talking about our Crown Jewel predictions in the podcast episode. So if you want to stay up to date with when we're going to be putting that out, make sure you go ahead and check in the description down below, and you will find our Outcasted Instagram page. While you're there, make sure you go ahead and follow all of our personal social medias so you can keep up to date with what we're doing when we're not posting on here. There'll be a SmackDown review this week, as well as a week in review of AEW. So if you don't want to miss any of those, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. Click the bell notification little thingy so you can see when we post videos, and go ahead and follow our social medias. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.